This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Anytime is a good time to break a bad habit. Could be making improvements to your routine at home, maybe it's your job performance, could be physical health, financial health. The time to make a positive change for your future right now. But Scott, only 33% of Americans have a written financial plan. So a lot of people winging it when it comes to spending. And how could we break the bad habit of living without a budget, Scott?
How to break a bad habit. It'd be like telling me not to have cake and ice cream, and I love cake and ice cream. You know, breaking that habit is, you have to first come to a point, do I want to break a bad habit? And that's where it comes in the area of money. When you start to see your money dwindling down, maybe it's time to put the brakes on and then say, okay, I need help. Maybe you get some help. A lot of people don't think they need help. They think they got it in control, but sometimes the wives or the husbands know better. And so again, knowing there's a problem is the start. Like Alcohol Anonymous, knowing there's a problem, we can start from that. Then, of course, the next area is once you understand there's a problem, okay, a budget. And that I call that the cuss word. So you got 6 letters in the word budget. And as you think about the word budget, are you spending too much? It'll catch you. And when I tell our clients before they retire, I love to meet people before they retire, either they're new to us or maybe they're heading into retirement. What I like to do is give them a budget sheet. And if they get a budget sheet, I ask them almost like the best place to put it on the refrigerator so they can see it. Alex, my mom and dad, I have to use this example as a habit, a good habit or a bad habit. They did have a budget on the sheet. I think it was for us, my sister and I. But the most important thing is my dad did the bills. My dad ended up telling my mom, literally saying to my mom, I remember when I was younger, Joan, you're going to write the bills out. You're going to see what we're spending. Because when dad does it all the time, she didn't know what was going out. So mom would go out and buy things and just spend money, well, haphazardly. And I think the challenge, Alex, what I see more often than not is one person is a Scrooge.
Poppycock. Balderdash. There.
And the other person is, spendthrift. They're having a blast. And I think that's where the challenge is when a married couple start to argue about money, whether they're young or now they're in retirement. And now that, Alex, we're facing a real crunch called inflation, money goes much faster and you have to keep an eye on the budget. So mom and dad had a budget on the board, which I tell my clients and people meeting us for the first time, let's have a budget. Let's get together 3 to 6 months before you retire and see if you can stay within your budget. Let's start spending that money now. Alex, this is a hard process, but a powerful process if people are out there. So if they're doing this, I don't know if this answers your question. I hope it answers some of you out listening. But if you're fixing to go into retirement, put a budget together and just watch. And you're allowed to make mistakes. Why? Because you're going to. But when you make the mistakes, you're going to learn where they are. And I can tell you, it'll catch you when you're making those mistakes. You'll be able to kind of figure out what you need to work on. So again, breaking that habit.
Well, and Scott, one of those mistakes is just being complacent. Not making adjustments to your portfolio, not paying attention to fees that you're paying, keeping money with financial institutions just because it takes you time to explore other options. So how can working with you really avoid being too complacent with your retirement savings?
I think whether it's with me or with their current financial advisor or with anybody they're working with, if they're not asking to see what's going on, and maybe you're not humble enough, if you're out there listening, maybe you're not humble enough to ask for help. maybe it's time to get a little bit humble and say, you know what, maybe I need some help. Because procrastination is like a friend of mine says, what does procrastination mean? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow. They put it off until later. I think the challenge is, again, looking at your numbers, not putting it off, and then getting help for someone who's, this is all I do for a living is work with people and guide them, not tell them, not dictate what to do, but guide them into making some smart decisions with their money so they don't run out of money before they run out of life. And that's the challenge I find.
And Scott, people want to reach out for more information. How could they do that?
Man, I'd love to be able to speak to you off the air. You were able to give us a call at our studios, 609-488-4646. Let me help you out before you give our studios a call. You might want to write down some questions before you call. That way you're really prepped with maybe I really need help in this area. Now, again, you want to give our studios a call at 609-488-4646. Bonnie at my office will make a time for us to speak if I'm in meetings. But I can tell you, I appreciate those of you that maybe just need a little help in that area. By the way, Alex, a sidebar real quick.
Yeah.
I had a lovely couple come in. They do taxes with us. They did their will, power of attorney, living will. They did their trust with us. But the gentleman, 81 years old, wife, 86 years old, came in today. Now, they've been doing taxes and their estate plan with us for now going on 7 years. He's 81. We sat down just today, as we were speaking to each other, and I was amazed they came back in. So I said, guys, how can I help you? What can I help you with? And he goes, my husband, the wife, the beautiful lady, she said, Scott, my husband needs help. I said, well, y'all still like each other? And they said, yeah. Well, they started cracking up. I said, well, I'm so happy. I said, what kind of help you need? He goes, well, I think my husband's maybe forgetting things. And I'd like to know how to get all of my required minimum distribution tax-free, because my girlfriend just put a kitchen in and she pays no taxes. What I'm getting at for those of you listening right now is a misunderstanding from listening to others. In other words, they don't know her income. Maybe she's in a zero tax bracket and she took money out of her IRAs and it didn't really bother her tax bracket. In this client's case, they have over $2 million and the market has been really evaporating their accounts. And they have to pull out $55,000 in RMD money this year. And they want me to help them, of course, give them the holy grail, no taxes. Well, that dog don't hunt. So I had to walk through the process of A, what they're hearing from other people. B, maybe your husband needs to change the way he invests. And he looked at me and he said, Scott, I think I need help. His wife looked at him almost with who is this guy? He never asked for help. He knew he was at the point he needed help. And I said, well, who do you need help from? Would you like it from me? Are you looking for another advisor? Scott, we've been with you for so many years. You've never tried to sell us anything. Frankly, you never even asked us to do business with you until we felt comfortable. And that's why we liked coming here, because you didn't twist our arm. Well, we finally discovered today that not only was his investments risky, but he was investing, Alex, in a CDs at 2% when he could get right now in different vehicles guaranteed 4.5% right now. Right. If you're listening to right now, I'm telling you, as of this show, I guess this show, Alex, I don't know the date of this show, but as of this show, and you might want to give our studios a call at 609-488-4646 to find the latest rates, because the rates have been getting better. But they said, you mean I can get that kind of money guaranteed? I said, yes. I'm not even there's no fees, no cost. And I can take the money out. And if I pass away, it's all completely liquid. It's not tied up like these other types of vehicles. They were tickled pink. His wife looked at me. She says, Scott, this money isn't for us. It's for my children and grandchildren. What am I going to say to her? When you get your RMD, why don't you enjoy the children and give them some money, and maybe they'll really appreciate, especially in this inflationary time. And of course, crazy market. And again, habits. They have the money, but their best friend probably didn't have the money. Their best friend was not paying taxes, but maybe, and I know they're paying tremendous taxes. So we're able to work the tax structure out and educate her. And finally, they came to the point where the husband said, Scott, we need help. So if you're out there and you're thinking, you know what, perhaps I need help. Perhaps you want a second opinion. Probably all smart people get second opinions. Frankly, when my mom and dad got cancer, we didn't get a second opinion. We got a third and fourth opinion before I said, I think enough is enough. We need to take action. I don't know if you're out there thinking about that, but I can tell you, this is not a time to procrastinate. It's like our nation. What do you call a country that pushes off everything until the last minute? I call that procrastination. You're putting things off. Don't do that to your finance. Alex, I don't know if that's real clear to people, but,
No,
but I hope you speak to many audiences, Alex. You speak to people around the United States, and I appreciate your time with your media company, that you're helping me guide these people to make sound decisions with their money. But it comes to, number one, realizing you need help, as we spoke about. Number two, coming to the conclusion, who's best to help me? And number three, don't just run to the first guy and gal you meet. Make sure there's a track record. They look at the taxes, the estate planning, and the investment, because this is holistic investing, not simplistic investing, to have so you can sleep well at night, knowing that your money's in a very good place.
Well, and Scott, you don't want to wait too long either. There's so much involved here. You're talking about fees. You're talking about tax efficient strategies. There's certain windows of time that are so important when you're talking about retirement.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's just so many details here. And that's why it is just so important for people not to procrastinate, to not get complacent. Some real keywords here today. But again, your message to the folks out there, if people are sitting there and they haven't acted, again, reiterate why you can be somebody, whether it's a first option, maybe a second opinion, but can just help explain the different nuances that need to be addressed.
Alex, you couldn't have said that better. And for those listening right now, I'd like to offer you a unique opportunity to say, you know what? I think I'd like to get a second opinion. I'd like to pop in and get some ideas. If you're out there, you know what? Best way, maybe make a phone call. This way you don't feel like you're getting twisted or sold or coerced into buying something. When I do workshops, and if you haven't been to my workshops, we usually do workshops on a monthly basis. We do 2 or 3 workshops a month, if not 4 workshops. Since COVID was around, we were doing almost 1 workshop a week, and we were educating people. Not one meeting did we ever ask to buy a product, to do a service. Let's just have a conversation. And if people have been to our website, Alex, which is 609-488-4646.com, go there right now. I encourage, if you're listening right now, 609-488-4646.com. Take a look at our website. And the reason why I tell you that is because you're going to be able to see what we're about if you go about us. And you'll see a wonderful, we made this during COVID to help people understand, hey, we want to help. And Alex, this is my 41st year. We don't beg or bug anybody. As I call my staff, we pleasantly persist if you want our help. If not, we're still here. So if you decide you want a second opinion, or like the family today, they just want to revisit, well, why don't you just come in? But if you're on the website right now, 609-488-4646, I encourage you to click that button where it says contact us, and you'll see where a button says our team. Contact us, click on our team, and you'll see a video of a couple of our clients, and I think that'll help you.
Scott McLean, McLean Tax Advisory Group. More financial insanity on the other side.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
How much cash are we going to burn? And will you be out of money? And will the cat food train start to come alive? And that's where the rubber meets the road.
Great cat impersonation, by the way, Scott. That was spot on.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
We used to think of retirement as the final stage of life. It's not the finish line anymore. It's just the beginning of the next phase. Retirement today lasts so much longer, and we believe it actually unfolds in stages. We got Scott McLean here. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And the 3 stages of retirement. Scott, you know these very well. You can explain these to clients. Go-go years, slow-go years, and the no-go years, Scott. And
I think it's
pretty
4,
clever.
Alex.
Okay. What's the 4th one?
Can't go.
Can't go. No. Yeah.
So let's talk about it. I agree. You start off retirement and you're excited. You got this positive mental attitude. You know, you're in the middle of starting a whole different phase of your life. You visualize this, leaving the boss. Some of you probably visualized calling the boss a double SOB, maybe backwards. I don't know. But you just think about leaving. You think about, I can't wait. And you and your whether it's your spouse, your significant other, your partner, and you want to get going. And you've got these big, grandiose visions of retirement. And I am excited for those of you that are in that period right now, and I hope you're enjoying it. I get many calls, Scott, I don't want to run out of money. What should we do? And they're probably in their go-go years. They could be spending more money. Where they go in the slow-go years, Alex, they're probably not spending as much. And that's fine because you did it, and maybe you just don't want to do it again, and maybe you'll go out to great adventure at 70 years old just to watch the kids sit on the bench, versus when you were in the go-go years, you're on the ride screaming and yelling, having a blast. And you got the no-go years, or I could call it you want to slow down. You really don't want to go. So this attitude of retirement, what does it look like to you?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not a cookie cutter, Alex.
Right.
I mean, you're a young stud. I'm an old bat. I mean, I'm almost 65 in another couple of months. And here you're about 20-something years old?
Oh no, I'm getting close to the 40. You know, it's on the horizon.
Whoa!
I know.
Those of us listening probably wish that we were back in those times. But
sure,
you know, Alex, we think about the go-go years. You've got the plans. Maybe you want to buy a second house. This is really, really when you're in retirement now and you're planning the go-go years. Really get together with somebody who can guide you through this jungle of decisions. I mean, jungle. There's a lot of decisions. Where do you pull the money out of? How do you invest the money? When do you pull the money out? How do I make my retirement when I'm older tax-free versus taxable? How do I pass my money on? And these are the many myriad of questions, let alone Social Security. When do I take it? And so the go-go years. By the way, I'm just thinking, if you're out there and you've got these questions, please don't deny yourself the ability to call someone and get some help. No cost, no obligation. Maybe you can go to your advisor. He or she should be asking these questions. And when people call us at our studios at 609-488-4646, when they call us, we get these questions. And I have to ask a lot of questions. It's not just a one-off question. So when you call at 609-488-4646, you're in the go-go years. Now, if you're in the slow-go years, you're in retirement. Maybe you're working a part-time job just to get away from your significant other, your spouse, just to get some free time, or maybe have your own man cave or woman cave. I don't know what the heck they call these caves. Anyway, maybe you're slow go and maybe you're not spending as much.
It's a she shed. She shed.
Do what?
It's a she shed, Scott.
Oh,
Yeah, we got a
she
man
shed.
cave, and then you got a she shed.
Oh, I forgot that. Oh, thank you. I hope now for the I won't go on the woke agenda. So
Yeah, no.
he said anyway.
He said she shed by the seashore.
Seashore.
Yes.
You know, you got the slow go years, and Alex, and it's so important to go over these periods of time because this is the transition of your investments. This is the transition of paying attention to the tax returns. If your advisor is not looking at these on a yearly basis at a minimum, I didn't say they have to do taxes, but they should be looking at your tax returns. And so when you're starting to pull money out, where you pull them out from? Is it taxable or non-taxable? Is it long-term capital gain? Or maybe it's IRA money or 401k money. How and where do you pull the money out so you don't evaporate this money in your go-go years as you're slowing down in your slow-go years? Because in the no-go years, all right, you don't want to go, but you do want to have enough money to protect it for maybe if your lights start to go dim or you have Alzheimer's, dementia, sickness issues pop up. Maybe you need to start transitioning into what's called a trust, a specialized trust, a irrevocable trust. Do you have that planning? This is stages of retirement when you focus in this industry, which is what we've done for so many years, Alex. And we get so many calls saying, Scott, what is our transition now? What are we doing and how we're doing it? We're not doing as much. Okay. Because when you get to the no-go or can't go, the fourth one that you brought up, I guess we talk about that. I can't go. That means we need to reposition money so Uncle Sam, the IRS, the government can't take your money to nursing homes. And I want to preserve it for my family because I work so hard. If this is you, Alex, I don't know. How do people get a hold of us, Alex? What are you thinking that they should do?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions, if something resonates with you, the number you can get a hold of Scott and the team might be Bonnie that answers and directs you to the right person. 609-488-4646 is the number. 609-488-4646. Just add a .com at the end. We're talking about the 3 stages of retirement. And Scott, it's not just because it's clever and they rhyme that we have these 3 stages. There really is significance to them. The go-go, the slow-go, the no-go, the can't-go. We'll talk about the final 2 here in the next segment, but let's focus on go-go and slow-go. When we're talking about the go-go years before you retire, what should you be doing in regards to your spending and your planning for retirement?
You really want to really keep your mind on the things what you want. And then the cuss word in everybody's agenda, beginning with the letter B, the budget. Are we staying within our budget or not? Are we staying within our means? I can tell you one way to get out of staying within your means is when your child calls up and they're going through a health challenge and they need to get money. Or maybe they're going through a divorce and you want to help them out and your heartstring is being pulled. Or maybe you want to plan for another trip for the whole family. This is not a quick decision, even though it's simple. It's an easy decision in your brain. But when you think of all the tactical moves that have to be involved, such as taxation, perhaps where do you pull the money from? So these are really critical decisions. And I can tell you over the years, couples can burn cash quicker when all of a sudden their child goes through a challenge, let's say a marriage challenge, and now you got to help fund them on a monthly basis or yearly basis. Or maybe those of you right now taking care of your mom or dad and you're burning cash, or maybe you got a dog that needs surgery. Cash goes quick. And sometimes it doesn't come back quick. Most of the time, it doesn't come back quick. And these are the areas to discuss on what do we sacrifice and not sacrifice. Obviously, you want to take care of your pet, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, you got it. all the pet lovers out there know it's not the same as a kid, but it almost is for a lot of people.
It really is.
You got to think about that.
Frankly, sometimes the kids, the dog's cat's more important than the kid.
Yeah, I'd rather be around the dog than the son sometimes, you know. Now, so that's talking about the go-go, planning before retirement, and we got a couple of minutes left here in this segment. Talk about the slow-go years a little bit. What can we expect, and how do we plan ahead for it?
We look at the slow-go years, and as you're looking at the slow-go years, maybe you want to say, okay, am I positioning my money to protect the money for the family. Maybe I need to look at, do I need life insurance still? Do I need long-term care? Now, you would have thought about that in the go-go years while you're healthy, but maybe it's coming up. Or maybe I start putting my assets into an irrevocable trust. How do I do this? We did a couple shows, I think, Alex. We talked about that, as well as the veterans benefit we spoke about in our previous shows. I think we have some upcoming shows. We talk about those other areas of money so we don't have to evaporate the money. But when you're looking at the slow go years, what can we expect? Well, you can expect healthcare costs. That could be a real left hook. All of a sudden, your husband is 70 and you're 62. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, I need health insurance if I decide to retire and I'm not getting Medicare. What plans are out there? We can help you with that. We can guide you, but it's expensive. So again, those are the areas, whether it's the go-go or the slow-go years, paying attention. And then the death benefit. If something happens to either one of you, if you're married or if you're single, how do you want to preserve money for your kids? If you've got that wayward son or daughter, well, the question is maybe I need to change beneficiaries and put it into a trust because they might just use the money for the wrong purposes. And so in the slow go years, again, we're looking at this long-term care. We're looking at the accelerated benefits, other types of investments that are out there. As you head into the no-go, well, this is a timely segue as we go into the no-go years. Okay, now how do we protect our money? How do we really bulletproof our game plan? Whether it's via taxes, legal, and investments. Now, as we head into the no-go years, I think that's where you're heading, Alex, is where I can't go. Will I outlast my money? Will my money continue to be there? How will it continue? If you're investing for income rather than growth, shifting the I, income, from the G. That's the hardest shift I've ever found for people, shifting from the growth. You grew up your whole life for growth. Now you're shifting to income. This is the hardest and yet most detrimental problems I find with people in retirement, whether in the go-go, slow-go, no-go, because they always thought they have to be in the growth period. And this is wrong thinking.
Right.
So give me, if you want to give me a call off the air, I'd love to speak to you. 609-488-4646. This is not a simple solution. This is not a set it and forget it plan. When people call us, I can pretty much try to guide you after asking lots of questions, because I got to ask lots of questions. Otherwise, I'm a quack. I don't want to give you wrong information.
Of course.
And so by not doing that, I'd love to hear from you. If you're out there, if you have questions, 609-488-4646. Let me give it to you again real slow, because I don't want you to deny yourself the ability to have a tremendous, wonderful retirement, at least in the go-go, slow-go period, because in the no-go period, you probably are thinking about other things. 609-488-4646. And by the way, if you add .com, just type it in, 609-488-4646.com. That goes right to my website. Give us a call off the air, and Bonnie will make it happen to have us a great conversation together. I think you'll be so excited you did, saying it was great to hear the show today, Alex. I hope people understand that.
Absolutely. And retirement, well, it is not the end. In a lot of ways, it really is just the beginning, but we want to make sure you got enough left in the tank to make it all the way to the end. We're going to be talking about the no-go years as we go through the 3 stages of retirement that's coming up. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
Retirement today can last 2, maybe even 3 decades, and that's a blessing, but really takes a lot of planning, and we find it helps to break it down into the 3 stages of retirement. That's what we're doing today on Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside, as always, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And well, we talked earlier about the go-go years earlier and also the slow-go years, but now the no-go years, Scott. And what are we talking about here, and how do we plan for this stage of retirement?
This stage of retirement, the no-go or can't go, is really, really important that you get along with who's going to be in charge in case your lights go dim. This is a discussion I have with our clients on a yearly basis because things change. Let me give you an example. Number one, when you're going to the no-go, is your will, power of attorney, living will up to date? Part of your 3 blind mice, they don't talk to each other. The reason why is because we find out maybe your daughter was the power of attorney, but she passed away, or maybe she is now going through a health challenge and she can't. Do you have a backup? When I look at the legal documents in part of this area, whether it's go-go, slow-go, or no-go, the legal documents, should they be revised while your lights are still on? In other words, your lights aren't going dim and you forget your name. The next thing I notice is also, do we need a nursing home? Well, if we need a nursing home, or could that be in the picture, where do you go? There's several choices. For our veterans in the state of New Jersey, perhaps your veteran or the veteran's spouse could go to the VA. And they've got some beautiful places. People call us all the time. We did a show just on this, Alex. I don't even remember. But it could be a great place for people to look into reducing assets into a trust, looking at the VA facility, which is wonderful in New Jersey. So how do we protect assets? The no-go. How do we not only protect assets, is it time to shift gears on your investments? And as we shift gears on the investments, should we reduce the risk? Or how do we pull out money? So whether it's yourself or your spouse, what taxes could it cause you as a child of overseeing your mom or dad? What kind of taxes could you cause mom or dad? Should you start shifting assets, not into the kids' names, but into a trust? Because the worst thing I've seen is when you start shifting assets into the kids' names, what happens if you suddenly put the houses in your kids' names? Number one, we lose a step up in basis. Now it becomes a huge taxable challenge. Number two, what if you shift the house in the kids' names and they get in a car accident and they cause the accident, and now that house is subject to a lawsuit? Or three, maybe they put a loan against the house because it's in their name. Double dumb. This is where you need the trust planning. This is designing your assets in the no-go period. How do I protect all of these assets you've built up over your time from your blood, sweat, and tears? And now you're in the stages of life because, going to heaven is going to be wonderful as long as you know for sure you're going to heaven. That's important. That's critical to me. But the question is, well, while you're in heaven looking down, did you do everything in your power? Did the advisor ask everything in their power, in their knowledge bank, about taxes, inheritance, passing of assets, and asset? We talk about assets, so we change our assets around. And so we talk about allocation of assets, diversifying the portfolio. And I can tell you, when we look at this, Alex, this is challenges I can tell you so many times. And this is why we call my book, when I built it, The 3 Blind Mice, how the financial planning process leads your money to a mousetrap, meaning they didn't ask a lot of questions. They tried to sell you something before really understanding the whole problem. If you're listening to me now, please don't deny yourself the ability to correct these issues. Don't deny yourself because, I'm going to get sold if I meet with Scott. No, you won't. You have my word. You come to visit our firm and McLean Advisory Group, hide your checkbook, hide your wallet, bring in your questions. I can tell you, my word is to tell you, we're not going to ask you to do business with us. Let's just see if we can really help guide you through this quagmire, through this jungle of the next phase, as Alex is saying, the the no-go period. And these are really areas you've got to focus on: your risk tolerance, your asset protection, your excessive taxes. How do we help you through that? Well, because we have in our firm at McLean Advisory, the lawyers and the taxes and, of course, financial advisors. These are areas we want to make sure that you, or maybe your parents, are really buttoned up and really have this plate of armor, I should say, or that you're really bulletproof from any challenges that are out there.
Scott, if people have questions about the 3 stages of retirement, if they have questions about how to make their money last, how could they get a hold of you?
I would love to speak to you off the air if you feel like it. Please feel free to call our firm right here, 609-488-4646. Bonnie will make that happen for you, whether it's off the air on the phones, or if you'd like to come in and visit with us on a personal basis. I'd rather see you eye to eye. And again, if you're married, come together, because I can get feelings from both of you. You know, as an outside source, when you give us a call at 609-488-4646, as an outside source, there may be a third party, I'm able to see things that maybe it's called the scotoma. You just don't see it. And because I've done this for so many years, over 40 plus years, I'm able to see areas that maybe you're just not aware of, because I've done this so many times. Frankly, I'd rather go to a doctor who's done 1,000 heart surgeries versus 10 heart surgeries. 609-488-4646. I'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely, Scott. And I think breaking it down into the 3 stages, it kind of helps people understand the need for that comprehensive plan, because you're you're not looking at retirement as just one thing. Well, there's work and then there's retirement. It's like, well, there is retirement, but it's broken down, and there's some things you can do pre-retirement and things to do during retirement, obviously. And then there's a lot of strategies up front to help put you in the right place. And so I think it's a good way to frame it up, Scott, is that there's a lot of elements to it. And with your 40 years experience, with the help that you have in your office, the team that you have around you, you are able to take that holistic approach, that comprehensive approach, and really look at all angles and say, do we have everything covered?
Well, I think the thing I've noticed when people visit us is they feel comfortable. They feel like they're not going to get sold or told. They're going to understand a game plan, whether they decide to work with our firm or not. That's not the purpose. The purpose of the meeting is, are you in the right place? Are you doing the right things right now? Are you taking action right now versus pushing it off, called procrastination, just waiting for it to get better? And I can tell you, as Daddy said to me, son, take action. Don't put it off, because put it off causes the problem just to become more exponentially worse. And I can tell you, when you have a team put together, harmoniously working together in cooperation to design a custom tailored plan just for you, this is critical. So if you're out there and you're saying, I need to know, am I okay? Am I buttoned up, I call it? Am I really have a good plan? Is my plan tailor-made for me? So I know that for as best as I can, with all possible certainty, my taxes, my legal, and my finances are all in collaboration with one another. So together, we are going to be in a good position. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got questions, we'd love to speak to you off the air. And if you'd like to share something and you want to put it on the air, Alex will make it happen. 609-488-4646. If you'd like to share what's happening and what we're doing and what perhaps maybe what you're going through, and you like to have it on a live tape, we can try to make that happen so you can hear what's going on. People don't know the problem they're facing until they, of course, step out of themselves. They put their pride in their back pocket and they say, you know what, I think I might need some help. Or they might say, you know what, I've had my financial guy for 30 years and he never asked me any of these questions. I can't tell you how many times my staff has heard that when people leave our office and they hear that same statement. I can't believe Scott or George asked all those questions we were never asked before. Why? Because retirement isn't simple. It's a game plan, and it's a game plan that changes month to month, year to year. One day you're healthy, one day you're not. One day you're go-go, one day you're slow-go, one day you're no-go. These plans are not set in stone. If you think they are, then you're probably a go-go person. If you think they aren't, then you're probably in the slow go or no go, because things do change. Life does evolve. So I want to speak to all of you listening right now. Please don't deny yourself the ability to make sure that your plan, your retirement is just wonderful. And you can understand and enjoy that the team behind you is really sharing a part of your life as we watch you in your wonderful years of retirement.
Absolutely. And Scott, we have just about a minute left, but you hit on something there where it's not about just coming in and setting a plan and then good luck and you're in that retirement for 20, 30 years by yourself. There is a cadence of checking in, Scott, as things change and you need to regroup, visit because you like the folks, but also because, you might need to tweak some things or at least update clients on what's going on. So I know there's obviously a rhythm of appointments and just conversation with folks, after that initial check-in, right?
There is. When they come in, I think about your imagination. Thinking about this, your imagination is the workshop of the soul. What does your retirement look like? And now you think you shape all your plans for your individual achievements. So again, what does your vision look like? Starts from our first meeting. Whether you decide to work with us or not, it doesn't matter. We need to understand what you think your retirement looks like, not to push our agenda, but to help your agenda to be fulfilled. And I can tell you, when people visit with us so often, whether they work with us or not, they leave with a sense of hope. Maybe they're in a great position, or some things they can fix themselves. It's not a one-off meeting. Frankly, any financial planner says you're set it and forget it. They're just double dumb. I can tell you right now, they got the brains of a soap dish with no soap. They just don't know what they're talking about. Life is, as everyone knows, you think it's wonderful, but then something changes. Car accident, health changes. But this is what you don't want to put off on the side. Get some help, get some planning. And if you'd like to visit with us, I'd love to visit with you at our firm here in McLean, Waretown, New Jersey. For how long have I been here? Since 1979. A couple weeks.
A little bit. You know the area. And that number, one more time, Scott, what's that number?
Yeah, please get a hold of us, 609-488-4646. Again, it's 609-488-4646. Real simple. Love to hear from you. And please, if I'm unavailable, ask for Bonnie, and she'll make it happen. I can promise you that.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Scott speaks about savings down by the seashore.
Oh, man, that's great. That's great.
Back to Financial Insanity with Scott McLean and co-host Alex Dingman.
Lots to think about when you're heading into retirement. One of those things is whether or not you should continue working. This is the Retirement Yay or Nay segment. So, a survey by Express Employment Professionals staffing agency indicating 79% of workers between 57 and 75, 79%, nearly 8 out of 10, say they would rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. Scott, does that make sense? And what are some possible pros and cons to this kind of approach.
What a crazy statement. I remember I laughing because I'm thinking about mom and dad. And I remember when daddy retired and he calls me up. I'm in New Jersey. He's in Florida in Jacksonville. And he says, son, I got to get a job. I said, but daddy, you're retired. Son, I want you to understand I love your mother. I just can't be around here all day.
Hey, you got to be honest in relationships,
And I started laughing. I didn't understand. I was a lot younger than I am now. And, good thing mom and dad are in heaven hanging out waiting for me.
Heck yeah.
God, good news, they can wait. But that stays in my mind when you made that statement, because first of all, I don't know how people can turn the engines off. Me, I'm looking at expanding my firm, but other people are enjoying their retirement. God bless everyone. The question is, when you retire, the hard challenge is, should you keep working? Well, find something. If you love your job, then frankly, you're not working. That's me. I don't have to work. We're blessed enough. I love our clients. I love people. I will continue to work until God calls me home, as far as it looks right now. Luckily, he hasn't called me. The second thing is, other people maybe want to try a different vocation. Maybe they go from being a nurse, a doctor. Maybe they're a toll collector. Maybe they're a sanitation engineer. Well, that's okay, but they want to do something else and they want to find something. So maybe they want to work. So I can't answer that question for anybody here, but dadgummit, my best friend in Jacksonville, Florida, Dale, always makes fun of me because I want to work 100 miles an hour. That guy could sit in his yard, sit around the campfire and have a couple adult beverages and enjoy life. Good old Southern boy. We grew up since age 6. And he always makes fun of me and teasingly because I'm 100 miles an hour. Difference of personalities. Dale likes to rake his yard. I like talking to clients. I can afford someone to rake my yard, but I love talking. So what is your vocation? Don't just leave to leave. There's got to be a compelling reason. Maybe you want to travel with your beautiful spouse or husband, wife, and maybe you want to take a trip. Maybe you want to take care of dogs and or cats, and maybe you want to get in that. Maybe you want to go out and maybe start a lawn service part-time because you love taking care. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, you better have some type of game plan, because you could be watching Price is Right and that crap gets older. I can tell you for sure. So let's say you're 65 years old. You want to go from company A and you have a 401k, and you want to go to company B and it has a 403b. Well, and you love your work. One mistake I found is you roll the money over to an IRA. Now, why would that be a mistake? Well, maybe you plan on working a long time. Maybe you should roll it over to the new company if they accept it, so you don't have to take the required minimum distributions at 72. Now, frankly, if you don't think you're going to be working until 72, then you roll it over to an IRA, and you've got a lot of universal products that you could buy or get involved in to protect your money. In these times right now, whether they're good times or bad times, you need to invest that money. So the question number one is, if you're going from job A to job B, should you roll over the money to a plan? Next thing is, what choices they give you. This is really important. And in retirement, you know what? If you love what you do, find something else. Speak to your spouse or a significant other. If you're by yourself, maybe you want to go mountain climbing or water skiing like my sport, or just hang gliding like I did. I can tell you there's a lot of fun things, but you got to figure out what you're going to do, and what kind of fun is it going to be?
Maybe you need a first opinion. Maybe you need a second opinion about whether you should keep working, how much in retirement. Either way, Scott can be reached at 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646 at .com for the website. So earlier, we'll just call it 80% of workers between 57 and 75 said they'd rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. So Scott, is this just the end of retirement as we know it?
No. And I think the biggest thing is, and when we spoke about, Alex, is, I think forgot to bring up the health coverage. The insurance is before you leave work. You may just want to stay there and get the health coverage because maybe you're 63 years old.
Sure. And
Medicare is not kicking in until 65. And the health insurance could be as expensive as ever. So I forgot to bring that up as a downside of retiring. Maybe you get a part-time job that offers health benefits. This could be beneficial. And what if you have a wonderful spouse who has no health coverage? Or like my conversation, we were putting a trust together for a client, and they have a special needs son. He's on the insurance. Well, that's a whole nother world on the area of part-time or full-time, whatever. Now, other areas of part-time work, Alex, I'm not sure, but you think about taking Social Security too early. Should you take it or not too early? Should you keep working? And so I don't want to leave that out. I think I might have left it out a little bit before. I just hate to. There's so many choices that could drive your money in the ground, and especially if the stock market is dropping, it could really cannibalize your assets and make you have to work.
Well, and Scott, people generally are healthier, generally living longer, and therefore could possibly have a longer retirement. Where in the past, 10, 20 years, maybe it's 20, 30 years. And so you have to account for that, Scott. And that's just a longer amount of time, obviously, to have a steady paycheck or something there to fill that gap. And so that's what makes this so interesting. You don't want to just retire, have nothing to do for a lot of reasons. Financial is definitely one of them, but also, like you hinted to earlier, a lot of it's just mental as well, and your physical health, and giving yourself some purpose and keeping that brain sharp.
That's so important. The purpose. Maybe the purpose is those of you right now that are in or near retirement. Maybe you're in retirement. You need to find a new hobby. You need to try a new sport or maybe a new venture. Maybe you need to try go out, you and your significant other or spouse, or meet new friends, be around people. Don't just cavitate yourself, lock yourself into your room. Just get out and enjoy what we've been so blessed with, this beautiful country. I mean, we could talk about the Democrats and Republicans and get all stuck in the muck and not enjoy life. This is disastrously depression. Leave the politics aside and just be a friend. Just love on people. We're allowed to have our own opinions. And when people aren't allowed to have their own opinions, get away from those people. If they don't respect you, then you don't need to be around each other. We all need respect. And especially times like this, coming out of the COVID area, coming out of the, being isolated. Oh my gosh, it is so many devastating things that are come down the line because of this. Get out and meet people, understand what you're doing. But again, as you said, be very careful with your money, because we're living a lot longer. And by taking out too much money in the go-go years, are you going to have enough money in the slow-go years? Are you going to run out of money? And we talked about that in several of our shows, Alex, called reverse dollar cost averaging, where you have to pull a lot more money out. You have to sell a lot more shares just to get the same income. So positioning your money to last a longer time so you have a income that will last the rest of your life. That's why people call us at our studios. Scott, how can I have that income that will last the rest of my life so I can put my head on my pillow and say, I can sleep well at night? 609-488-4646. I'll be able to talk to you if you'd like and maybe help you with some of those areas of concern. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646 before you make the arduous decision. Where do you invest? Should you retire, not retire? And what are your options? There's a lot to discuss, Alex. Guys, I was thinking about this gentleman who went back to work to celebrate his 100th birthday. This one guy in Jersey, however, decided to do exactly the opposite. His name is Bill Hansen, and he celebrated his 100th birthday by returning back to his work, which he diligently for 32 years loved. And so Fred Hutchinson, the CEO of Hutchinson Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, well, he signed an agreement to go back to the work for one day. And he welcomed with a big birthday cake and a full day of assignments. He loved it. And he took off about 15 minutes after we signed the agreement. He said the agreement, he got to work, and the Hutchinson said he had to spend a lot of time where he could be at the company before he retired at age 97. He didn't have much to say for retirement life. He said, quote, I hate being retired. I never had a job where I didn't want to go to work in the morning. Hansen said, and he attributes much of his happiness in life to his love of his work, his wife, and his family. You see, for retirement, it could be forever. But what is your forever? Is it working? Is it enjoying life? It's about what you have in the quality of your life. Quality of your life, psychologically we spoke about, emotionally, and financially. Can you do it? Make that decision. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646. This is important.
This presentation may contain information which has undergone regulatory or other significant change since its original recording. The information on this program is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice and is limited to the dissemination of general information and may not be suitable for members of the listening audience. Communications such as this are not impartial and are provided in connection with advertising and marketing for McLean Advisory Group. Prior to making any investment or financial decisions, an investor should always seek advice from a financial, insurance, legal, or tax professional. McLean Advisory Group and or Scott McLean offer investment advisory and financial planning services through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
This radio show is a paid placement.